Hi, Rachel. Thank you for joining me for the How Change Changes You podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm really excited to be part of this podcast. And I love it how you said, let's just be natural, because I was worrying about what my hair is going to look like and all of that. But setting the scene's lush, that it's pure just how it comes, and that's accepted. So thank you.
Absolutely. No, we're all about just go with the flow and just, we're here to help people just be themselves, right? And just factor in change, because it's there's one constant in life. It's change. You got to embrace it, right? Otherwise, there's no point in resisting it. So for those of you, obviously, who are watching this and listening to this, Rachel, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and just tell the lovely people watching and listening who you are, what you do.
Excellent, thank you. So I am Rachael Beattie, and I am the ADHD coach, and I support people with their sort of understanding where they're at with their ADHD, because I am ADHD and bipolar, and I, since probably, forever, feel like I've been fighting against it, but with the support and guidance of getting a diagnosis and the community that I'm building around me, I'm also now starting to feel that I can step into this, and I feel like now I can step into me. And that's what I want to share with other people across the country, because all my coaching and lessons and courses that I do are available online, because I was doing a lot of stuff in person, but because of my own neurodivergent brain, I burn out quite quickly. So these are the tips. So I've gone through life and now sharing the tips with others. I don't know it all, because who does? But I'm just sharing me and my story and my screaming ADHD-like ways to hopefully inspire, to empower, and to bring some fun into life. I literally have gone through a cycle of, with the bipolar, I have dark times. But with my new brand and my new, a lease of life, I want to bring some fun and colour into life with this journey of discovery, understanding your neurodivergent brain.
I love that. I love that so much, Rachel. And I think that's what I see, definitely, of you embodying everything that you've kind of been through in your life, right? And I think that's often why we get into these lines of work, right? Is that we have a personal journey ourselves, we go through hell and back, and then it's almost this thing that's planted in us that we kind of think, well, I want to give back, I want to help other people, hopefully shortcut their stress kind of thing, and just say look, this, learn from me, this is where it can help you, or at least give them the tools that they can kind of help themselves. I love that.
And I know, a lot of people say we go through this life to learn the lessons, and I definitely agree with that, 100%. These, what you're talking about with guests is all about the change, and how that brings change, and how that brings challenges and lessons to be learned. And I don't want to take the lessons away from these people. No. What I want to do is bring the pain as much, just bring it down slightly, because if we can reduce that and reduce the ill mental health that comes along with getting diagnosed or undiagnosed, that's a mission, because ADHD isn't ill mental health. It's just, unfortunately, the traits of that brings those ill mental health strands with it as well. So a lot of anxiety and depression, and all these self sabotage and things that come alongside it. I really want to support people to reduce that as well. So the life lessons are here to be learned, the good, the bad, and the wobbly bits as well. So
my God, yeah, you got to embrace it all, right? Because that is how we evolve. Otherwise we're just going through the same old and suffering, probably, in it. For those that maybe don't know much about ADHD itself, i.e. what it stands for and what it is, could you just give a bit of an overview?
I can. So I, was driving the car this morning thinking, ADHD, what does it stand for? And all I could think was, me, this is me, ADHD. And I don't even connect with the words that ADHD stand for. For me, ADHD is where I am super fast. And literally, this is my version, because we're all totally different, but my version is that everything's fast. Everything I do in work and life is a fast version. So if you can imagine making something on Canva, so I love doing that in business, that's my creativity. I know it might take someone a day to, you know, put things where they will want it, but for me, I literally would get that done in 20 minutes or 15 minutes. So it's like, if I super focus, light speed, get it done. ADHD for me is getting things sorted. Like, for instance, an example of sorting my daughter's clothes out before Christmas, getting right, come on, let's get sorted, and then leaving it on the stairs for months and months and not getting it to the charity shop, because we can do the thing, but it's the executive functions, that means like the step-by-step things to get it to the end point, to get it to the charity shop. There was a gap. So for me, ADHD is where we are super, super highly intelligent. You know, I've got a level 7 in mental health and movement, but to sit down and do some spellings, that's a different story altogether. Or to try and work out numbers to run my business, I struggle with that. But I can stand up in front of lots of people and teach hundreds and hundreds of people, and I can really stand up and step into my power and teach anything around about movement, or I could teach a Zumba class. I could, you know, I could really throw my hand to all those things. But when they come to ask me to understand like the numbers and the spellings, and do a thing in a structured way, I really struggle. So yeah, it's I'm still on this roller coaster of understanding what ADHD is for me. It's also things like I'm understanding now is like emotional regulation. So my emotions can really just be all over the place. And that ties in with obviously the bipolar, the ups, the downs. So yes, that's, you know, that's a little bit of the snapshot of how ADHD is for me.
Yes, for you. Yeah. And I think that's really important distinction to make, isn't it? Because sometimes it's badged as like, well, this is what it is and this is what it means. But I love the example you gave, because this is all personal, because like with anything, it's all on a spectrum, right? Isn't it? And it depends, like, you know, I think overarchingly what I'm hearing is it's a powerful energy. It's a powerful starting force, like ignition. That kind of where you start things amazingly well, and then it can just get a little bit lost off, and certainly about completing things. So I guess it's just about bringing awareness to that, and then having the knowledge and the tools to navigate so that you are playing in the zone of your genius, right, and your superpower, which is this dynamic, open, like people-friendly, connecting energy. And where you can actually help yourself, you know, bring that back down, focus, ground yourself. That's what I'm hearing. So to help people navigate that there's actually nothing wrong with you. We're all just on this beautiful spectrum, and it's just finding what works right for you.
That's it. It's you know, that can, you know, such a powerful thing, having ADHD, but then obviously you've got your light and dark, haven't you? So the dark sides of, you know, the darker side of ADHD for me is that I give too much. I can't say no to people. So that results into burnout where I physically cannot sort of leave my bed. It can be that much, because when we step into the world of outside world, you know, you've got to think about, you know, our senses, our hearing, what, you know, the smells, the sight. Is the light too much? Because that's where, you know, you imagine, you know, your phone charger just reducing. And the more you give, the less you give to yourself. So I always thought ADHD was for boys in the classroom, you know, bouncing around, couldn't sit still. The naughty boy in the corner. And this is the industry, what I've seen in the media and things like that. And I used to sit there going, that's not me. But actually, when you look, nobody is the same. So my ADHD is hands gestures, lots of flying around, flapping around. My ADHD is fiddling on the seat. So, you know, twisting around, my ADHD is needing to move my body in the morning, for going out for walks, to regulate my mood. As soon as I step out that door with the dogs, I'm hit with that fresh air, and I know this is good for me. And my brain's going, right, you know, some days I don't want to do it because it's freezing and my hands are going to fall off. But it's so lovely to move the body and to really regulate how I'm feeling with the outdoor nature and movement. And it's a bit like I was saying this morning on my Instagram story, it's a bit like when you first go out there, it's a bit like sticky tar. It's like honey that's really stiff. But as soon as you start moving the body and start seeing your brain is starting to ignite and like have a look around, look at the trees, look at the, it starts to like warm up and it goes to that lush like honey, and it's all really nice and it moves so lovely. And that's how I feel when I move my body. And I'm thinking, why don't we do this more? But then the ADHD brain obviously has that thing of, well, we know what we want to do, we know movement's good for us. I mean, that's part of my coaching. I coach people, you know, to move more, to understand what mindset, you know, understand what the food, that the hydration and the community around them. And it's like, but my brain just won't let me do it. And I know, because that is ADHD to me, where you know what you need to do. But it's just
but you just don't do it. No, I think it's so, I love that analogy, by the way, with the kind of tar and then turning it into warm kind of honey. I think there's a power, isn't it? And I think from just what you shared, that regulation piece is so, so important, because I think this is back to when you bring awareness to how you are. And for those who are, wherever they are on the spectrum of neurodiversity, it's actually kind of going, well, owning, this is how I am, and there's nothing wrong with me, or really, I don't need to fix myself, but what I can do is learn how to regulate myself. So then it kind of almost stops the very highs and the very lows and actually allows you to ride that wave with more intention. So you can actually kind of, I suppose, create less stress, unnecessary stress in your life. Some stress is good, right? But we need to kind of try and find that balance for people as well. But yeah, regulation is so important. And I mean, I'm a huge advocate for moving my body. I say to people all the time, you know, especially if people are feeling stuck or in procrastination or whatever, I'm like, it sounds like the simplest thing in the world, but just go for a walk, get some fresh air, get some natural sunlight on your skin, and that'll just already start, because we're holistic beings, right? To lift your spirits and to kind of get that energy moving in your body. And I think it's so important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember going to the doctors when I was about 19, 20, sitting there going, I'm just broken, I just need help. And I mean, I used to go quite a lot, because obviously a late diagnosis. I was 34 when I got diagnosed. So from a long time going in and out of, you know, mental health services, crisis teams, and I'll be sitting there and they'll be saying, well, go, you know, you need to get moving, you need to go for a walk, or and give you this gym pass. And I'll be sitting there going, what? Like, I'm broken, I'm unwell, and you're telling us to go to the gym. But because I didn't have the awareness, and I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the education behind it. They just give us the pass. But I wasn't ready to listen, I don't know, but I wasn't aware of the goodness connected to moving my body, the goodness of what we put into our bodies. It creates our home. Basically, our body is our home, isn't it? We sit with it 24/7, we live and breathe it. We wouldn't allow someone to come and like spray paint the walls in our house. So why do we do it to our own bodies and minds? So that was the power from my past, was people just giving us these things, but never giving us, because of my brain wanting the why, because I've got that autistic brain of also like, why? What's the purpose? Show me, prove to me. I need proof. And that is my brain. So we're a more of a aware community now. So if someone's sitting there going, why do I need to go to the gym to improve my mental health? Have that, you know, you have that learning, that teaching around to explain why. Have the proof, have the, you know, trying to think of different things. But at 19, I suppose, I was a little bit more naive and wanted to
Well,
go.
yeah, but you are where you are. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly. And to your point, I think, God, I look back at some of my times, I think, God, if only me now could go and have a word with her back then.
I
But to your
know.
point, sometimes we're not ready to listen.
No.
And I think that's for the importance, right? As coaches, you've got to meet people exactly where they are and with no judgment, because we're all on this journey. We're all at different, kind of segues of like figuring out what's what and what our priorities are and, what we want to create. And I think sometimes we've got to like feel our pain to then do something about it, right?
This is it. I mean, if I never felt that pain, if I never sat there going, well, why do I need to go to the gym? Would I be now a level 7 movement coach? The importance of movement? Probably not. I don't know.
No, it all happens for a reason.
Exactly.
No, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So obviously we've given a great overview as to kind of, and you've touched on obviously little elements of change in your life, but for you, for change, and change that obviously changes you've gone through, what have some of these changes, what has it taught you about yourself? Like what comes up?
That actually we can do it. And it sounds really corny, but actually we can, and that's it. Like, you want to bring change in your life, then go and do it. Because the neuroplasticity in our brains is there to create change. And I've seen proof of that. And one of the changes through my life was my mum had a brain injury and has a brain injury. So she's now neurologically disabled, and I've become her carer for the last 5 years. And I've recently handed that back, and she's now fully, leading her own world in the community. And the proof and the guidance that I've been through in that journey of 5 years of working with someone that had a brain injury, but actually she's gone from needing lots of self-care, and I needed to help her eat, I had to feed her, but now she's able to do that herself. She's able to live independently. And the proof of that is that even when you have brain damage, you can create the change. And that there is just absolutely phenomenal to see. I've actually witnessed it, been part of it, felt it, and seen the celebration with her when she first goes and does her first volunteering job. She was working in a prison before her accident. She was driving. That was all ripped away from her. So to the change in that is the ability of knowing that making a difference is you can. Yeah. And I think that's been the biggest outcome for me, is that the change was horrific. I had to fly out into Greece and she was in a coma, and that was awful. The impact of trauma, the PTSDs, all of that's been connected to it. But it's given me the resilience to know that there's always a way, and being part of that change with, looking at a parent that's in a coma, then I've had to care for them, and it's like a journey through childhood with them, and then they're going to teens, and then because they're a different person with a brain injury. So I'm adapting to be a daughter, a carer, a support worker, and then back to daughter. So I'm changing all the time, and thank God I've got ADHD, because we're amazing in crisis. You can just jump to it and be that, but the back, the knock-on effect of the adrenaline that we have pumping around in our bodies is great at the time. But we have to bring rest, we have to bring compassion to ourselves. That has been a big part of my life, the change of becoming a carer and seeing someone change as well. So it's a bit like grief, because you see a person that was your mum, has changed personality, has changed their routine, is unable to drive now, and all these changes. What do we do with it? We get on with it. And we adapt, we create resources, we create opportunities from this. So that is just, I love that, Rachel. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think for anyone who's gone through, like seeing a loved one go through, like if it's a sudden accident or like a health challenge, right, that at the time I can only just imagine the shock
to the system that,
Yeah.
that you're having, but also seeing your mum have and how that mirrors back. But that's the thing, isn't it? To your point, it's actually some changes, and this generally only occurs with time and reflection, to kind of go, oh wow, if that hadn't have happened, then I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't, so sometimes it seems like it's like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
But actually it ends up totally redirecting your life, right?
Completely. At the time I was like, why is this happening to us?
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a hotel room all by myself thinking, will I bring her home like alive or whatever? But those memories are like, they're like that habit stacking, isn't it? It's like, actually, the more we do with resilience, the more we partake in challenge, the more our neurons and our neuroplasticity grows, and we can overcome these challenges. If there's a wall, just look at it and think, right, well, how do I get over it, around it, like always a way. So yeah.
No, I love it. Where there's a will, there's a way, I think. And something you mentioned there that I just think also is super important. I mean, in another way, I was my dad's carer last year, obviously. He'd had a fall, he was older age, he then had a stroke. So then he, obviously his behavior changed. I kind of lost him before I lost him, really. And I think what you said around compassion for yourself is huge. Because I think when you go through a shocking change, you can sometimes get into that, like, why is this happening to me? It's so unfair, this victimhood, like life is happening to me, this is not fair. But I think if we stay in that space, then actually we're creating more stress for ourselves, as opposed to actually, how can I be more compassionate with myself? How can I be compassionate with this situation and trust that we'll just keep moving through it? And we will get there day by day by day, but just not to, focus too much on the tragedy. Because I think if we focus too long, yes, we need to acknowledge it. My God, we need to acknowledge it. But I think if we focus on it too long, it can drag us down.
Completely. We get stuck. We get stuck in that energy, don't we? We get stuck in that time. And what we want to do from this is, how do we celebrate this? How do we learn from this? How do we, grow from this? And that's my mission. Part of my coaching is all of that. You see a problem. How do we achieve the change? Like, how do we get around it? And I think that's a sign of, when you are coaching, if you've been through this, I think you've got that connection. And I think when you are ADHD or neurodivergent, we have that extra little bit of connection and energy. And I know me and you are quite, we are part of the energy healing world as well. And we use that as part of our coaching and our strength to see the goodness. Because some people might be watching and listening and go, Jesus Christ, like, I am going through the worst time ever in my life. How I can't see a way out of this. And I think that's the nugget, isn't it? It's that you will.
You will, it might not feel like it now, but you will, And it's that hope, isn't it? And I think that's why through generations you can see what people have gone through, and still today, the atrocities in the world, that you think, why is this happening? And you can focus all day long on that, but ultimately, what can you make out of it? How can you move through it? Because to your point, and what you earlier said about what it's kind of taught you, some of these changes, is change is possible. Better things can actually come out of bad things. If you just keep seeing the possibility and looking for the light, it sounds like.
And having the people around you, that's like for me, it was having the people around, like the community around me, guiding us, but also trusting you, trusting your intuition. Like, everything I do in my sort of world and coaching is always ask within, like, what is it my body needs right now? And to move on to the next little part of change was I went through a change of losing 7 stone. It's been a massive physically mental change. But yet again, walking out the schools this morning thinking, I'm at peace now with my body.
That's huge.
It's so many people are sitting there fighting with this whole, I need to lose weight and I need to restrict this and I can't have this. And it's and you have to go through something like change to then come out the other end and go, that, you know, that feeling of actually I'm in a good place.
Yeah, I'm at peace with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
How did you really kind of, when you said about obviously now you're at peace, and obviously there was a time when you weren't at peace, can you speak to like the difference of that and actually kind of, I suppose, as just for people listening, well, how the hell do you get to peace? How do you actually, you know, when you said about listening inward, because I think when we're not at peace, then it's almost like, but how the hell do I listen within myself? How does that work? So could you talk a little bit more about that bit of your journey?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been, since I was about 12, 13, on this looking upwards and outwards to the world, thinking, oh, right, this is how you do it. You've got to stand on the scales, and you have to go to these different clubs, and you have to restrict, and you have to count on points and calories in and calories out, and you only have meat. You know, all these silly little fad diets I've been on and made myself very unwell, starving myself, doing like laxatives, you know, all the things that I do not think at all is a good thing. All of that, like, fight. It was like just constant battle, always looking. But that's part of my, I suppose, my ADHD is always looking for the next best thing. Always, always, always looking, like thinking, well, this will work. You know, I'm overweight, this will work. I'm struggling to get into a size 10. Well, you know, if you starve yourself, this will work. And then looking at the media, oh, what's the media saying? And looking at like that weight loss is a great thing. Being thin is a great thing. Being, restricting is a good thing. And where I was walking out of school this morning was thinking, I don't have that noise anymore. Just no noise, like no pressures, because I'm not restricting myself now. I sit with myself and I go, what do I feel? I'm thirsty, actually. I'll have a drink. But what type of drink do I actually want? I can't do a hot chocolate with you. Like, I really stop and listen. And I know some people will be going, what's she doing? And I'm like, but honestly, intuitional movement, intuitional food, intuitional, what do I want to watch on the telly? It's choice.
Yeah.
It comes down to choice. Like, what have I been told? Or what do I want? We're so confused.
Yeah, we're so confused. Yeah. No, yeah.
Do that. To go and go, this is the way you do it. But, you know, the guidance that I've done for myself is, but what makes us happy? Do I want a can of pop?
Yeah.
It's not. What the mission that I've also been on is that eating the cake and having the pop, all these industry saying it's a bad thing, doesn't kill us.
No.
What actually impacts on us is the bullies that are attaching themselves to people that are bullying people on the internet, like, you're too big to be putting yourself on the internet and things like that. And it's awful. It's really, really awful. So the peace comes with the less noise.
Yeah.
The less looking outwards and look more inwards.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of noise out there. I think it resonates what you're saying about, you know, a lot of what I talk about is everything is energy, right? And I think when I say this, well, where I suppose where I've come from, and then also other people when I'm looking outward, is to see that they're disconnected from their bodies. It's like this mind-body connection isn't there. They're living in here, in judgment, in criticism, and all of the things. And to your point, I think part of that intuitive side is instinctually, your body knows what it needs for fuel. But if you are not connected in with the wisdom that's here, then you are going to be listening to external chatter or not loving yourself enough to make healthy choices. I think that's the other thing, because this piece that you talk about, And I've, you know, been on that journey of like actually harnessing the power and noticing that mind chatter, and then knowing that you are not that mind chatter, and that you are actually the space that occurs within, and that you have the power to control that and to, you know, turn down the volume. Definitely. So that you can access this peaceful feeling. So it's funny, isn't it? It's like, for most people, oh, well, yeah, I'm overweight and I want to lose weight. Okay. But what's your intention behind why you want to do that?
That's it.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's got to be that intrinsic motion first. So that means the internal why needs to make you, I did a recording, it's about internally, it's got to make you cry. And I know I don't really want to go out there making people cry,
no,
but
it moves them. It's
so
emotional.
Connected.
Yeah.
My why was because I just wanted to be stable. Like, I know there's a different from back then, what that looks like, what I wanted to look like to now. I wanted to get up every day and feel confident. But back then I related that to weight, because when I started my weight loss journey, because I felt more confident if I lost weight. And that's where the learning pieces come, that actually the weight's got nothing to do with my confidence. The weight has got nothing to do with how I feel. It's the internal why that really keeps you motivated, that keeps you going forward, that keeps you actually, like, there's no bad food in the world. We just gotta stop this. Absolutely nothing bad. It's the amount that
it's the amount. It's the intentionality we bring to it, isn't it? And that awareness. And I love what you say. So why do you think that intrinsic why is that such a game changer, do you think?
Because so many people are coming to us going, well, I just want to lose some weight for a wedding. And I would say, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to work with you, because unless you rip that down even more and dig deep, like, yes, okay, you want to look nicer on your photo, but why? Like, why are you wanting to lose weight? Like, really, why? You would look beautiful turning up in a dress or whatever at any shape and size. So why do you feel like you've got to be that size 10 to get in a dress? So it's the external why. It's very like top level. They used to come to us when I was coaching, and well, I want to lose weight because just because I want to, because I want to feel better. And I'm like, right, no, let's stop. And then we'll go down and down and down. And then we got to the point where we knew why, really.
It's the root of the why.
Digging down the dirty stuff. We got really messy, and we're like, right, get right down to it.
I think because for a lot of people, it's that coping mechanism, isn't it? Of like, you're influenced by, and we all are, right, by the world around us, by people around us. And often we make that association by, oh, well, I'll be happy when, fill in the blank. And actually, if you turn that, it's like, well, can I be happy with myself now? Doesn't mean that you're not going to strive to make yourself better or improve. It doesn't mean, oh, well, I'm just going to accept that I'm this size and do nothing about it, even though I know it's not healthy for me. But you're coming from a place of, I love myself enough to want to do this for myself, as opposed to, I want to lose weight to look good in a photograph so other people will think I'm this, and this. Because that's the thing about intrinsic, is I care about what I feel about myself, and it's detaching from this caring what anybody else thinks, right?
Completely. And because I follow so many inspirational people on Instagram. I've got, I do a lot of CrossFit. I haven't done it for a couple of weeks, but I love CrossFit, and CrossFit is like about lifting heavy weight. And there was a woman on there, and she says she's a size 18 and she lifts heavy, but the trolling that she gets every day, because she shows up and she shows the workout, and she's in her lush, just turning up as her, and she's lifting really heavy. She's like doing gymnastics. She's just doing it and showing up. but they say the trolling that she gets is unreal. And I think actually she's probably way healthier, way fitter than any of us. And which is a size 18, that's okay.
Yeah.
This mindset that you've got to be a size 10 and 12, that'll be healthy. It's a load of, it's just a smoke screen.
Yeah.
You can be healthy, fit, you know, all of that at any size. So what I'm, you know, my mission is to make people realize that we need to come away from this restricting mindset and it's accepting that we've already got it in us what we need. It's just bringing that awareness, isn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%. Great mission. I love it. I love it. So for just kind of zooming out, because obviously we've touched on a number of your changes that you've been through, right? But when you kind of look back at all of those things, what are some of, if you could summarize kind of, I suppose, that the main lessons that stand out for you in your journey, what are some of the biggest lessons, do you think, that these changes created for you?
The first of all, my mind straight going to my daughter. So what legacy am I leaving for my children? That's it. Wow. What am I leaving? And I show up on social media, honest, true self.
Yeah.
And I get criticized for that a lot. People say that I'm too much. I shouldn't be as vulnerable. I shouldn't do this and that. And I'm like, actually though, what legacy am I leaving for my children? That my mom showed up with true, honest value. That she talked about the wobbly days. She talked about the good days. She talked about the shit days. That she showed up with true value, like giving value all the time for people in the world to grab that value and do something with it. If they don't want to do something with it, then that's fine. But I think when you have gone through such change, you know, like we have, as loss and losing somebody before they're even gone, with just within seconds, that changed our lives.
Yeah.
And I think, well, God forbid if I, you know, leave this world, this human world, what have I left? What have I changed? What have I been part of? Have I been part of something that's like impacted on other people? Yes. Yes, I have, because I've been in schools and stood up in front of children and told them that I left school with no GCSEs. And they're all sitting there going, shit, I've got me GCSEs and I'm so rubbish and I can't do it and I'm going to be sick and the pressure. Yes, they are very important, by the way. But
yeah, of course.
If you don't do them, I didn't. And I'm still here to this day with a level 7. So it goes back around with what was said at the beginning. There's always a way.
Yeah.
Always a way. So yeah, hopefully that answered that. Because I do.
I love that. And if ever there was an intrinsic value, Rachel, like, my God, that the legacy, you know, I just, there's obviously, like a lot of us, right? I love a good quote, and I love Maya Angelou, the like American poet activist, and one of her quotes just like, it just reminded me of that. People might forget what you said, people might forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I think that legacy is also that, you know, your daughter can look and go, this is what my mum stood for. This is how she showed up every day. And she actually came from the heart and wasn't trying to be anything that she wasn't. And I mean, my God, like, what an amazing behavior to like, and perspective to model for your daughter. Like, this is how we change the world, right? By being ourselves and celebrating our difference.
Definitely.
So I love that so much. Thank you for sharing. That's amazing. So for you, of all of these changes, you said earlier that the thing that it's really kind of lit a fire under is that you are truly unstoppable. This is what you've it's strengthened in you, would you say, all of these learnings?
Definitely. 100%, because if we sort of slice back in when I was about 19, 20, 21, I was surviving on other people's opinion. I was surviving on alcohol, surviving on, you know, just lots of debt, you know, because I was always needing that next quick fix, as in the dopamine, you know, I know that I need something else to keep us happy. Go, 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 keep going, keep going.
Yeah.
And that has taught me now that you can strip it all back, put me on a beach, and I'll be as happy as ever. Like, but the thing that I've had to go through has been a bit ugly.
Yeah.
But what a beautiful ending, I tell you, because I can sit on the beach and I can be as happy as ever. I can be up the knees.
Yeah, but it's true. It's back to what you said about this intrinsic need, and this inner peace actually lives within all of us.
It does.
There's this fable that I've told a lot of people. It's an Indian kind of fable by Kumares. And it's a little story, and I always remember hearing it because I was just like, and this just fits perfectly from exactly what you've just said. The story goes, when all humans were gods and we had like godlike power, the humans obviously started to kind of disrespect the power and not use it for good, use it for other things. So, you know, the greater kind of group, I guess, when, you know what, actually they're abusing their power. So we're going to go and hide it, this life force energy. We're going to hide it. Where should we hide it? Where they won't think to look. So Brahma and the other gods were like, I know, let's hide at the bottom of the ocean. They'll never think to look there. No, they'll dive down, they'll find it. We'll hide it on the top of the mountain. They'll never think to look there. You know, we'll hide it well. No, someone will climb up there and they'll find it. So they were deliberating and they were like, I don't know, where should we hide this power, this life force energy, this godlike power? And then finally, Brahma kind of went, I've got it. I know where they'll hide it, where they'll never think to look. And they were like, what? In each of them. We'll hide it in each of them because they'll never think to look there.
Wow. Yeah.
And I love that story so much because I think it's true. And I think all of these challenges we go through, I think it's peeling back the layers to uncover the essence of who we are. And I think that story you just told is beautiful because we're born into this world of these sparkly life force energy, full of potential, full of joy and love. And then over time, conditioning, outside world, we start to take on all of these things. And I think you get to a certain part of your life, whenever that is, where you realize, I need to unlearn. I need to take these bits off because we need to get back to this essence that we have, right?
Yeah, completely.
So
that's exactly, that just sums up that scenario, because like just the feeling of being on my own is okay. But I knew back 19, 20, 21, that age, I had to be around people. I needed to be like told.
It's that graspy energy, isn't it? That we kind of, somebody else has the answer and we're not enough.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a huge thing. So to bring it like full kind of circle, thank you again for like sharing just these amazing change stories that you've lived and gone through, and look at where you are now, right? And everyone that you're helping and the difference you're making and the legacy you're leaving for your children.
Yes.
How are you what have you got on at the moment? Because I know that you've obviously designing helpful tools and kits for people. If people wanted to contact you, where do they find you? What have you got to help? Give them all the things.
So my biggest platform I'm communicating people with is on Facebook and Instagram. So Rachael Beattie, I literally peeled it all back. Don't have a business name. It literally is. That was my mask I used to hide. Behind business names. I am Rachael Beattie, and that's it, full stop. So come and have a little look and find on social media platforms. I have created tools over time to support people, sitting there. The biggest thing for me was, I think I might have ADHD, bipolar, autism. BPD, the personality disorder, all these different things that we're sitting with thinking, I resonate with that, because I get so many messages saying, when you put that story out, actually, you could have been talking to me, because that's how I feel. So I created a PDF, which is I can give it, it's free, we can share it, so I'll give that out. And I've also been part of Access to Work, which is a DWP grant that's available for people who are actually found out who are unemployed, employed and self-employed. Wow. So if you are sitting there listening and watching this, and you have a condition that is, you know, stopping you from growing, stopping you from growing your business or getting into employment, if you Google DWP Access to Work, there's a fund available there, but it is quite a hefty process. So there is an organisation that we both work and know about, is Celebrate Difference, and they are a beautiful organisation. They're a not-for-profit, and they are supporting people with disabilities, so hidden disabilities, mainly ADHD, but it's for everybody to tap into that has a struggle with their disability and wants us, like, as in a support worker, or for me, I'm an ADHD coach for so many people now, and this fund is available to them as well. So yeah, there's my coaching, and I've got my free PDFs, and I've also got some free training happening on the last Monday of every month, and so that's this month, which is February, and that's the 27th as well. So I'm sure we can share all the links.
We'll share all the links. No, absolutely, because that's the thing, isn't it? I think for people to navigate ADHD or any kind of condition that they're coming up with, that's the thing, like, help is out there, people.
I know, and this is what I wanted to make, a really simple PDF to sort of guide people, because sitting there, you know, unmedicated or feeling overwhelmed, and you cannot see the wood for the trees, and if you just have somebody come along with a really simple PDF to go 1, 2, 3, make sure you're connecting with your GP, make sure you're talking to talking therapies, and make sure you've got a supportive community around you.
Perfect. Love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your amazing change stories, Rachel.
Thank you.
You are, like, building a legacy, definitely, for sure. If anyone wants to get in touch with Rachel, and as I say, we'll make sure that all of the links are in the show notes. This is going to be on my website, on YouTube, on all of the platforms. So there's lots of ways to get in touch with Rachel. So yeah, thank you again, and have a lovely rest of your day.
Honestly, it's lovely. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you.